Okay, here's a report from the Lakes race up at El Mirage. So we got a couple runs in it. We didn't get any video because the dumbass cameraman, to be me, forgot to take the camera. So we got a couple of cell phone videos we'll be posting up off and on as I get them. I'm not sure how to combine them, so it might be a lot of short videos. We'll see. There's two 15-second ones up on eBay right now, or on YouTube. One on my bike, taken off the line on the first pass, and the other one was from the my friend Dave's bike, his 8-valve JD we built up about 2-3 years back. We did the motor, built it from scratch. He's finally got it to the lakes and running it, so he made a couple passes at 95 mile an hour with it. Not bad for a 1925 bike. So anyway, it comes back nice and clean, as you can tell. So I had lots of problems with it. But it ran good when it did run. When you get to use the nitrous, this was not in the book for the day, for this weekend. So anyway, basically what happened was Saturday night I rebuilt the motor. I got it timed, it was burning a lot of oil, so I went ahead and put a new piston, that one down there, and rings, and rehoned the cylinder and put it all back together, got it running. Warmed it up slightly, it shut off. I figured it just ran out of fuel. Loaded up onto the truck, took it up the lakes. Got up there next day and got the bike unloaded, all inspected. Got all our new stickers on the bike. So we got that new one right there. So these are the older ones here. So those are your, when you sign up to make runs, you get to bit those. So this is my logbook. This is my rule book. This is the lineup number for yesterday was 70. You gotta get an El Mirage pass to get on the lake bed, and these are my speeding tickets. So the logbook keeps track of your vehicle. There's a frame number on this thing someplace. It's up under there. I don't know if you can see in there now. It's kind of buried. It's way up under there. Yeah, that thing up under there. Right there. Anyway, you're supposed to write down in your book what you do and how fast you go and all that crap. Every race you get another thing. You're supposed to fill your notes out. And yeah, like I do any of that crap. So, yeah, see, I went from 184 to number 70. That's what happens when you make a good run. That was the race before. So anyway, this is the sheet filled out for this race. So you just basically tell what the bike is, how fast it is, sign your life away a couple different times, and have the inspector sign it so that you know it's safe to run. You literally know it's not really, it's a Harley. It's never safe. So anyway, this is all the crap you get when you get to go play. So we raced to get our name in the book here. So this is a records for El Mirage, 650. I'm running the APS F class, APS PG. APS, there's no PF class. Must be an open minimum. That's why I got to do 144 to get it. So, anyway, you get your name in the book when you go fast. If you go back to the small motor where I went fast, you see my name's all over the place in here. Teacher Machine. Lady Luck was my first pass of the bike. 127 mile an hour in gasoline. Yeah, too bad. What year was that? That was back in 93. Oh, the camera, you can see it. Yeah, 93 I went fast with the bike. That's when I built the bike. So it was 95, I went 129. And 99, I went 147. 11 of 01, I went 152. Oh, get down here, we can see it better. I'm not watching where I'm filming. Yeah, 152 is a record. Yeah, you see I'm in here a little bit. So, anyway, right now the bike goes slow. So, anyway, when I got up there and tried to run the bike would not run, wouldn't start. It wasn't happy with me. So, found out that the retard box up under here is kind of not supposed to be able to see the inside of your box. So, evidently when that happens, it quits running. So it's an MSD 3-stage retard box. So that didn't work very well. So that was kind of disappointing. So I had to work under here to fix that problem. Here's my tripod at. pull the tail off real quick so you can see what I did up under there. I've had this happen before, so I've pre-wired how to do it, but that was like, you know, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago I did that. I kind of forget exactly what I do over time. But you have to make the bike so you can work on them. I got the roll on. Cool. 16 someplace. You got the famous tool bucket right down here, see? I could go over the list. I don't know what it is. It's supposed to be a 7/16. There it is. I knew I had one. So anyway, I got to take the bolts out of the tail section here real quick. So basically I had to disconnect the retard box out of the system to see if that would make the ignition work, because we had no ignition at all. So once I got the box to be rewired, it started working again. Imagine that. I don't think it's working really good, but it was working enough to make the bike run. So that's the key part. There's one thing about racing: if it doesn't run, you don't play. It definitely has to make noise to have fun. We had this thing all apart several different ways up there this time. All right. All right, so now you can see what we're working on over here. There we go. Hate tripods. So this is the ignition systems up under here. It's my insulation rag. So I had to rewire all this stuff up under here. Get on this side of the bike, I can see better. So it's an MSD8 box. It's an older one. So this wiring harness here got disconnected. These wires here got pulled out so that we can make it run again. So I like Deutsch connectors. The reason I like Deutsch connectors is, this is a Deutsch connector. They're watertight, so you don't get any corrosion in anything. Unlike stuff like this, it sits open. Now I had to rewire this one right here. There we go. So we had to pull this one apart right here. So I had to take this white wire out right here and pull this one out. And see, they come out real nice, quick and simple, and they don't do any damage. This one was taped up right here along with this wire right over here. They were just laying here disconnected because these two were connected. I had this one connected there and this one's over here. So once I figured out where the different wires go, we just connect them up. So I purposely left them laying there just in case that ever happened again, and guess what? It happened again. So that got the bike running when I hooked that back up, and I basically deactivated my retard box, which means no nitrous fun. Cut on that bottle right there, because when you don't have the nitrous, when you run the nitrous system in here, you have to retard ignition or it blows the motor up. So this is our retard box right here. I had 0 degrees in the first stage because it's just fuel only. I'm just dumping raw fuel into the motor to richen it up. Second stage turns on these ones up under here. There's 2 of them under here. And that would have the nitrous hooked up because I disconnected the line down over here. Just the line comes off the nitrous system up there. So I disconnected the one that fed the first stage, so it wasn't hooked up. And the third stage just takes the lead out of it to help retard it and get to the finish line. And then I have this fuel line here, which goes to a solenoid buried up under there where you can't see it. And that just dumps raw fuel into the motor, which helps cool down the intake charge and get to the finish line. Helps you that with power, runs better. But anyway, all this was disconnected, so I popped it off, hooked it all back up, boom, it lit off, it ran. Except it quit running. It didn't run anymore. Kept cranking on it, wouldn't start again. What happened now? The fuel pump quit working. So we put new nitro in it. I got the new nitro in. 3 months to get nitromethane in California. So it took 3 months to get this little container. And you wouldn't believe how much stuff you have to sign to get this. You got to sign your life away so many different ways. It's ridiculous. So this stuff here smells real sweet. It's nice and clear. See how it's clear down there bottom of the bucket? It's got a weird smell to it. It smells like nitro. Evidently Sunoco now makes nitro and not BP. We didn't know that. Now we do. At least for 2017. This here was the methane, or not, methanol, which is M1. So that's 100%. So this here is clear also. See, clear the bottom of the can. It has a different smell, not quite as bad. So anyway, this was I guess I got this from some racing shop, but it's supposed to be Sunoco brand too. The weird part is when you mix two clears together, you don't get clear. You get yellow. As soon as that alcohol hits the nitro, it turns it instantly to a mustard colored yellow. Yeah, it looks like piss in a bottle. It has a different smell than piss though, and it runs a little bit better than piss. That was kind of surprising when it did that. So anyway, we got piss in our fuel tank now. At least that's what it looks like. So, but anyway, the fuel pump, which has an armature on this side, brushes and stuff on this side, and it has a gyrotor on this side. It's an old Mallory fuel pump, 250 gallon per hour fuel pump. So I took this housing off, pulled the gears out, cleaned it all out, put it back in, and finally started working a little bit. Inconsistent, but it worked. And went in and made me run. So I mixed the nitro at about 57, 58% instead of 55 like I was using with the old stuff. I went ahead and made my run, and it a lot more perky on the new nitro. It's a lot louder, a lot more bang in the pipe. That'll be this thing back here. And it runs pretty strong. The only problem is can't get enough fuel in the motor. So I put on all my fuel systems, which is, you got the main line right here, you flip that one on, and that is that third one right over there. Then you go over here to your nitrous system, which I didn't have the bottle on it because I didn't have no more retard box. So you go over here and you got a rocker switch, and you got first stage and second stage, to know which way you go. So I had everything on. I had all these 4 solenoids, well, I had the 2 fuel solenoids feeding, 4 different nozzles here, plus the 5th one here. Everything was feeding fuel in this motor, and it was still lean. But it was running strong. It went over 7,000 through the gears, at least for the first 3 gears. Couldn't pull 4th, so I wound out in 3rd gear, went through the traps at, over here on the tack, 7,100, which is about right here. So we went through at 771, and higher RPM has normally been running. I was happy. 3rd gear. So 3rd gear, 7,100 on this bike is right there. 132 mile an hour. Not bad for 3rd gear, huh? It was 64 degrees, I guess. So anyway, we ran at about 11 o'clock in the morning. There you go. So that wasn't too bad. It's the fastest run I've run on this motor. I've done 110, 115, and 125. So those are the other 3 speeds I've done. So that was the 4th run for the year. Oh boy. So I got 132 out of it. Need to do 144 to get the record. That's what the minimum speed you have to go to get a record is. So a big step in the right direction, but I still got 12 more mile an hour I need out of it. If I get more fuel in the motor, it might run better. I can actually get in the 4th gear maybe. Get some more speed out of it. So anyway, it's pretty good. The motor was not happy. It was just starting to slow down a little bit at the finish line. It wasn't very happy about running lean. And we pulled the spark plug out, and it was nice and, you know, aluminum colored, like everything. And we pulled the exhaust pipe off, and it was, as far as I could see down here, it was just metal sprayed aluminum. It was nice and silver. Took the head off, and damn, the piston just looks a little bit different shape than when it was first in there. This used to be a little bit higher like this other side. So it kind of melted some of the piston away. So that was a nice metal spray. It was also getting so hot it was seizing up the skirt a little bit here. So it was not seizing any just one particular spot. It was just all over the place. Now pistons are oval shaped, so they're big here and thin here. So when they overheat, they'll seize on the outside. When you just run them too hard, they seize on the thrust face, which is on this side and this side. When it seizes on the sides in here, the whole piston was just really, really hot. Which I'm sure it was, because it was leaner than shit. Plus you can see how it's turning yellow up on the dome. So that was heat too. So, but anyway, with that Tribodyne oil in there, it didn't seize hardly anything. You got little whiskers here and there, but it didn't continue. See, it seized but stopped. Got a couple scratches, but not much. It just lightly seized. It was actually the heaviest seizure on the side, which is kind of weird. It was full throttle in full load. So the Tribodyne oil over there is working pretty good. Now the Maxima, I still have a little bit of that in my tank, a little residue. So right now it's kind of a blend between the two oils. Maxima is a very, very good mineral oil. Like it a lot. Been using it for 30-something years. Really happy with it. Still sell it. Tribodyne's new stuff. Got different additives in it. Really works good on high pressure applications, high heat, and as you can tell, it works pretty good because this is definitely high pressure, high heat application here. The additive likes heat. It goes to where the heat is. It puts a boundary layer between the metals and lets the oil get in and do its job. And so when you got metal on metal contact, the oil can't do its job because it just basically burns the oil that's on contact. So you have to get it not to be metal, so it cools off, lets the oil come back in. So that's what Tribodyne does. It puts this protective coating on the metal to stop it from seizing. And you can see how it worked pretty damn good, because this piston should have just been seized solid in that motor at half track. I went all the way down. That was 1.3 miles, full power, full load, full RPM. And you can tell it got hot because it melted aluminum away. Aluminum melts at 1250. Roughly degrees. You can see how oblong looking that dome is. It's missing quite a bit of material off of here. And worked pretty good. And you can tell it wasn't detonating because the ring lands here are still straight and usable, it looks like. If it was detonating, the dome would be, it would be burnt right through here. It would be all wavy looking, these lines here. You would see waviness in them. Because the whole, it gets so hot it would just kind of just melt away a little bit. But it didn't get that hot there. It was... the whole thing was hot, but it wasn't. It didn't go into detonation pre-ignition. It was just blistering damn hot from being lean. So that's good. So really happy with how the Tribodyne worked out. It definitely did its good job. You can see I didn't get a lot of heat to the inside. See how it's a little bit black on the inside under the dome? That means it was getting hot up in there, but the oil wasn't burning because it's got a high boiling point, cook point. So that was the synthetic blend too. That's not even a full synthetic. That's a synthetic blend. For some reason they don't offer that in a full synthetic yet in the 2050, but anyway, it's pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's definitely worth it. Now we did an oil test for the SEMA show. We mixed it all up and see how it would mix and contaminate and unseparate. And he's still got the containers because he's taking them up to the PRR show, the racing show, another month. So I haven't got them back yet, but it seems like it separates pretty good. Now, right now, this is a Tuesday. We ran a bike on Sunday, so we got basically 2 days. On hand here. 2 days of separation on my oil. Now, I ran a lot of nitro through this bike on the second run. I haven't told you that yet, but we did. I don't know if we can even see in there the oil level. Not really. Pretty dark in there. Of course, I didn't bring a flashlight with me. Why would I do that? I need one of those. Ooh, alcohol. Okay, there's the oil way down in there. It's kind of a mixture of green and dark. A little bit of blue mixed in there. So, still got that kind of a mix going. The new Tribodyne is going to be blue. The old stuff was gray. This is a grayish blue color, this older stuff. The real early stuff was just straight gray. So So now he's got it where it stays full blue like the oil test. You see how it's blue color. This stuff's kind of a yellowish tan color, which is a lot of what the color we got in the tank right now. So anyway, it's got, it looks like it's oil on the top there. Now, I used to be with a straight Maxxman there. I'd have to change it every run because or every meet, the oil would mix with the nitro, and it never separated, so I couldn't drain off the excess. With the Tribodyne, it seems it separates. So when you have the alcohol and nitro or gasoline mix, it'll separate. Now this should come out real thin to begin with, and then turn. Yeah, it's pretty much still solid. See, it's got kind of that bluish gray look to it. That's the Tribodyne. Yeah. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. Take that off. So we'll let that sit for some more, but I'm going to run the bike here a little bit if it'll start. I don't know if it'll run or not after the second run. So that seems to be still oil in there. It's not contaminated with nitro. I used to get a lot of nitro contamination because I used to burn holes through all my pistons. So this piston was still working, the rings were still working, so I didn't get a lot of fuel going past. Plus it was still lean, it was just burning. So this is not contaminated full of nitro, surprisingly. So on the second fast, I rebuilt the motor. I took the motor apart, changed out the piston, because here's the piston. I took out the old piston that I took out that was in the previous video that was seized on the side a little bit. And I was just running straight Maxxman the bike. And then I went ahead and changed out the rings, because the rings looked good, but it was oiling really bad. The dome was all covered with oil after I made my timing adjustments on the bike on Saturday. So what I did was I took the old piston out. It was alright, kind of looking okay. And I took the new rings off of this piston that just went through all this. I put them onto the old piston, took off the old rings, threw them back in the box here. And so I put the old piston with the new old rings back together, stuck it in the bike, put it back together. The cylinder, even though the piston here has seizure marks on it, the cylinder doesn't have any marks on the cylinder. It was protected by the Tribodyne. It has a little bit of black kind of heat marks going up and down the cylinder, but they weren't, you couldn't really feel them, they were smooth. So the cylinder of the bore was still good, even though the piston's a little damaged. So once again, the Tribodyne is protecting the cylinder pretty good, because normally the cylinder would be wasted, piston would be wasted, you know, everything would be junk. So I went ahead and put the piston back in there with the newer rings in it, and put it all back together, and mixed up some more fuel, because I used up half a tank of fuel. It holds just under 2 gallons, so I used a little over a gallon of fuel on that run, or about a gallon of fuel on that first pass. I was dumping it in. So I got 1.3 miles per gallon. That's pretty good, huh? And I get 1 piston worth of aluminum per mile also there. So there you go. So I got the bike all back together, refueled it, went to light it off, and same problem. The fuel pump wasn't working again. Not working. We had ignition, but no fuel. So we had a lot of issues. So luckily it was going slow up there. A lot of dust in the air, so we were okay. So I had plenty of time to work on it. So I went ahead and took apart the fuel pump on the other side. It was clean. I kept running the rotor. You know, the armature spins it, and it wouldn't spin even with the rotors out. You know, the pumping part disconnected. It still wouldn't turn. You spin a little bit, it would start to turn. It would stop, turn, stop. It about 80% not work, 20% work. So that wasn't going to fly. So then I went ahead and pulled the armature side off over on this side, which has the brushes in it and the commutator and all that stuff in here. Electric motor, if you know how they work. Pull this apart. It all looks good. It's clean in there. It's not rusted, not corroded. The commutator is nice and copper. You could tell it was used, but it was shiny. It's working good. The brushes look good. Everything looked like should be working fine. Just wasn't working. So I took the old famous, tools we got around your pocket knife here, and went ahead and scraped all the surfaces with my pocket knife. Cleaned out the commutator segments. Made sure everything was clean. Scraped all the surfaces, put the pump back together. It's fun to get brushes on a pump where you have no tools to hold the brushes in. You can't get access to them, but a little finagling. I got it to go together. And then the pump started to work again a little bit. So now it switched about 20% not work, 80% work, which is good. We had fuel pump. Fuel pump means you got fuel pressure. That means you got fuel in the motor, you can run it. That's a good thing. The problem was the oil gauge, instead of being over at 28 pounds like it's been running, it was at 25 pounds and dropping to 20 off and on. It was halfway 20. Half the time it was at 25, half the time it was at 20. It was going up and down. So the fuel pump was not putting out full power. Basically didn't have enough horsepower to run the pump. So I couldn't make the pressure. So even though it was working only about halfway. I went ahead and changed all the jets here in my fuel side. I put big, huge jets in there on the fuel, so if it did get any fuel going to the motor, it could get a lot of fuel in it. It wasn't going to run lean again. Let's put it that way. I had all these jets got made 3 times bigger. So it was a big, big increase in fuel volume. So that way, if it did the same thing as it did the first run, I should be able to control it pretty easily because I have 3 different things to click on and off. And one of those 3 should run good. So I got the bike in line, got it ready to go, took off. As expected, it wasn't very happy, it was lean. So I go to flip on the fuel and the motor shuts off. And get off the button, motor comes back on. Get on the button again, goes off. Get off the button, it comes on. We have a problem, we got too much fuel. It basically is putting out so much fuel volume now that it drowned the motor. Spark wouldn't fire the plug. So it's an overrich condition. If you watch Top Fuel Dragster, it's called dropping a cylinder. You put too much fuel in it for the air, quits running. Yeah, same problem. Same problem I was having. So now I'm trying to go down the track with a motor that won't run because it's too lean. And it's banging and burning up the piston, you know, like that. And then it's you turn on the fuel supply and it shuts off because it's too rich. So basically what I did was I held onto this handlebar here with my right hand. So I'm up here on top of the bike, and I'm reaching over here with my left hand over here while I'm holding this and going down the track. And I'm going back and forth like this. And I was trying to figure out the difference between on, off. So pretty much I start going like this. And it's about like this. It's hard to hold one speed. And I just going back and forth like this, trying to find a happy medium. And when you had it just right, it would haul ass. When it was too much, it would not run at all. If it was over here, it would run like crap. And so you had to keep playing with it, and like so you get it just right, it would accelerate pretty hard. So I got up into second gear. I was running through in second gear, and just before the finish line, I kind of got my timing a little off, and it was more flat than off, but it lost about, you know, probably 5 miles an hour, at least 3 miles an hour. So, but I got through the finish line. So I went 100 and. Where's this behavior? It's 108 miles an hour in second gear. There you go. So that went 108. It was up to 68 degrees at that time, and that was at 247, almost the last run of the meet. That was, I think I was 5th from the end on the finish for running the bike. Spent so much time working on it. So I went 108 miles an hour with one hand on the handlebar and the other hand over here flipping the switch on and off like this. See, we don't care what it takes to get to the finish line. We're going to get to the finish line, one way or the other. So, anyway, I don't know what damage I did to the motor. I haven't run it since the finish line. I don't think I even looked at the spark plug yet. Let's take a look at the spark plug, see what it looks like. I don't think it's burnt because it was pretty rich most of the time. Yeah, runs good. It's cleaning up a little bit. Now you notice how it's got all that speckly silver all over it? That was from the first run. Now one thing about a surface gap plug, it's hard to hurt them. I took my pocket knife and scraped off that little white spot in the middle between the center and the outside edge of your insulator. I scraped in there with a pocket knife to knock off the crap so it'd fire. And put it right back in, it runs fine. That plug has been through so many pistons you wouldn't believe it. So, yeah, I lost my flashlight again. There it is. See if we can see what the piston looks like. Ooh, there's a piston down there. if you can see in there. Yeah, it's kind of a tan color down in there. Appears to still have all of the stuff we're looking for on a, it looks like a piston. There's no oil in the cylinder down there. See right there between the cylinder and the piston, you see right there's no oil sitting on top of the ring, so the rings are still working. That's a good sign. And they say you can't put Tribodite on in a fresh motor and break it in. Proved them wrong again. You just have to put enough load on it to do it. I had some load on it. So it looks like the motor's still in good shape. Except it's really not, because it's really knocking bad for some reason. There's some kind of a noise in the motor, I don't know what it is. And also it sounds like the ring gear and the starter are not happy with each other very much either, but there's some kind of a knock in the motor, I'm not sure what it is. That was on after the first run, I noticed that, so that's no reason not to make another run. We don't care about noises in the motor as long as it runs. We'll run it through with no oil pressure, I don't care. Yeah, this thing might actually start and run. I haven't drained the fuel out yet. You're supposed to do that after the race. Yeah, just after the race. I haven't done it yet. Is the pump going to work? Good, right? A lot of overflow coming out of the carburetor. We're just flooding the carburetor right now. It's running really good. I turned up the fuel volume of the carb real heavy. About 22.5 psi. There it is. This turns on this fuel pump. This fuel pump sucks the oil pan dry. And now it's sucking air, you can hear the difference. Doesn't have the gurgle noise anymore. So that pumps the oil in the tank right up in here. So it goes right in there. Oh, we got this line right here, this one. This here's a breather from the other side. This is the blow-by from the motor, so not too much oil. Usually when you got a bad piston, it just puts oil down the old side of the bike. If you watch some of the other videos, you can see how it used to do that. So these rings are working pretty good, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm surprised it's as good as it is, really. Nitro makes everything run better, see. Okay, let's get the paperwork out of the way so we don't get it all full of nitro deposits. That would piss me off, get my paperwork all screwed up. One thing about land speed racing, there's two things you have to have. Well, three. You gotta have the bike, you have to have a logbook, and you have to have the number on the bike to go with it. Sticker right there. If you don't have that, you don't race. So, luckily I had all that stuff. Alright, so to start this thing up, first you gotta turn that off. Pull the rag out. There's a carbonator. Yeah, you can see right in there. You wanna know what the valves look like? Yeah, that's the valve in there. That is the valve. Flashlight disappeared again. Keep losing flashlights. Yeah, you want to know what the condition of your valve is. I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Yeah, we'll try it. I don't know if you can see up inside the port there, but there's the valve. All of that brass looking stuff in there, that's called the filler. It's called welding. So anyway, there's the, I don't know if you can see the port in there, but it's pretty big. Blow it up a little bit. So, try to get the camera to work together with the flashlight. I can't get both to work here. It's really hard to do with only one hand. So anyway, there you go. So there's the valve stem up in there. Kind of see in there. That big brass jet thing right there, that's the actual jet. Right there. And there's a, you can see the size of the hole in that thing. It's pretty big. Alright, so the way you make this run, you need a little bit of gasoline. Right here, a little gas bottle. You hold the choke, you hold it open, you squirt a little gas in there. I'm going to do this over here. Now, it's going to get kind of noisy and stinky in the shop. The shop closed up, but I'm alright with that. A little nitro in the air clears your sinuses right out, keeps you nice and healthy. So basically what we do is we open up the carburetor, we squirt some fuel in here with this. Here, that's the choke. We just choked it. We already got the fuel on. Now you hit the starter button to start it. Now once it starts, you ain't going to hear me, but here goes. Alright, it's pretty loud. Yeah, good oil pressure. There we go. Yeah, hit 8,000 there. When it leaned out. It's got some pretty good exhaust pressure. It blew the box to shreds. Yeah, the fumes are nice and thick in here right now. It's making my nostrils really sting. My eyes are watering too. So, yeah, it's pretty healthy sounding. Doesn't want to idle right now. It's not jetted for down here at sea level. But, anyway, that one spot it went right to 8,000, but it was running up to 775, revving it up. It's too rich down here, just a neutral, but get the idea. It got some big ass bang in that exhaust pipe. Yeah, I'm getting used to it now. My eyes aren't so watered and the breathing's better. It's just a little air pollution in here, never hurt anything. So, yeah, anyway, you get anywhere near that exhaust pipe, it shreds shit. Yeah, it just ripped that box right to shreds. Look at that thing. Yeah, it takes that curtain right there, that plastic curtain, it just blows it all over the place like confetti. But anyway, it runs pretty strong. And it's not quite idling like it should, but it was having problems idling before too, so I think that has to do with ignition or something's weird in it. Something's not right because it used to idle really good, but it'll idle all right when it wants to. But it idles at 2,000 to 2,500. That's where it was idling at, so that's where it likes to idle. But anyway, we'll let it sit for a few days, and we'll do another oil. Look at the oil down there and see if it separates any. See if it comes back out like that pinkish looking black crap there. But that black crap runs really good, so I'm good. I'm happy with it being black like that. So, but anyway, that's basically the progress report of El Mirage, and there could have been a lot of good diagnostic video when everything on the bike was not working correctly, because it definitely was not running right. It was fighting me left and right, but screw it. I made it go in submission and get some speed out of it, so I'm happy. But Anyway, that's it for tonight. So that's it for the year. The next race is going to be in May of next year, 2018. Be another 2-day meet. So I got to take the whole bike apart, or at least the whole motor out. Got to take all the ignition out, send it all out to MSD, get it all checked out. Put another fuel pump in it. I got a backup one. See, I'm not stupid. I bought 2 of everything, more or less, when I bought everything. So I got 2 brand new oil pump, or fuel pumps, and I only use one of them. So I have another one. I just got to figure out where it is. And the ignition stuff, I'll just get it all rebuilt again. It's been rebuilt before. I might have to buy a new box here, though. I don't know if they can fix that, but we'll send it back. If not, we'll fix it. We'll get a new one. But anyway, that's where we're at for now. So we're going to go back to work, and I have to go back to start working on projects in the shop here, like this panhead's supposed to be done this week. Supposed to be done last week, but yeah, whatever. So anyway, that's it for 2017 race season, unless we do a little bit of drag racing for Christmas, but that's pretty much it for the real racing. So there you go. That's our progress report for the year.